The United States economy is worth over $27 trillion, which is larger than the combined economies of Japan, Germany, India, and the United Kingdom. And here's what makes that absolutely insane. Because America only has 4% of the world's population but produces 24% of global economic output. And we're talking about a level of per capita productivity that shouldn't be mathematically possible when you compare it to other developed nations. And the crazy part is that this dominance isn't new or temporary, because the United States has been the world's largest economy for over 130 consecutive years since 1890. And during that time, countless countries have tried to catch up using every economic system imaginable, from Soviet central planning to Japanese industrial policy to Chinese state capitalism, and none of them have succeeded in overtaking America. And the question nobody asks is why? Because the standard explanations about freedom and innovation and hard work don't actually explain the structural mechanisms that make American economic dominance inevitable. And there are 5 hidden reasons that work together, like gears in a machine, where each one amplifies the others. And the first reason is something so fundamental that economists barely even discuss it anymore. And that's the sheer scale of the American internal market, because the United States created the world's first true continental economy, where goods and people and money could move freely across a massive geographic area with no internal barriers. And here's why this changed everything, because when the Constitution was ratified in 1788, it included the Commerce Clause, which prevented states from taxing goods from other states. And this meant that a manufacturer in Massachusetts could sell products in Georgia without paying tariffs, and a farmer in Iowa could ship grain to New York without crossing any customs borders. And compare this to Europe, where in 1900, a German company trying to sell products across the continent had to deal with dozens of different currencies and tariff systems and regulatory frameworks. And this fragmentation meant European businesses stayed smaller and more regional, while American companies could achieve massive economies of scale. And the numbers prove this, because by 1910, the United States had more railroad track than all of Europe combined, with over 250,000 miles of rail connecting every major city. And this created a unified market of 92 million people, which was larger than any other single market on Earth. And companies that succeeded in this market became enormous because they could spread fixed costs across huge production volumes. And this advantage still exists today, because an American company can reach 330 million consumers without dealing with different languages or regulations or currencies, while a European company faces 27 different regulatory systems across the EU. And this internal market scale is why 8 of the 10 largest companies in the world by revenue are American, and why American companies dominate in industries that require massive scale, like technology and aerospace and pharmaceuticals. And here's what most people don't realize, because this wasn't an accident of geography. It was a deliberate design choice made by the founding fathers, who understood that economic integration would create prosperity and political unity. And the second hidden reason is something that sounds technical, but has massive implications. And that's the American system of property rights and contract enforcement. Because the United States developed the world's most reliable legal framework for protecting investments, and this created a compounding advantage where capital accumulated faster than anywhere else. And think about what this actually means, because when you know that contracts will be enforced and property won't be arbitrarily seized and courts will resolve disputes fairly, you're willing to make long-term investments that you wouldn't make in unstable systems. And this applies to everything from buying land to starting businesses to developing new technologies, and the data backs this up, because the United States is ranked in the top 20 globally for property rights protection for decades. And this matters enormously, because economic growth comes from investment, and investment requires confidence in future returns, and American property rights created that confidence at a scale no other country matched. And here's the mechanism that makes this so powerful. Because when investors know their capital is safe, they accept lower returns, which means American businesses can borrow money more cheaply than competitors in countries with weaker property protections. And this cost of capital advantage compounds over time, because a company that can borrow at 5% interest instead of 10% can invest more aggressively and grow faster and outcompete rivals, and multiply this across millions of businesses over decades, and you get an economy that consistently outgrows others. And beyond the direct economic effects, there's also the brain drain element, because talented people from around the world move to places where they can keep the rewards of their work, and the United States has attracted more immigrants than any other developed nation with over 40 million foreign-born residents, and these immigrants are disproportionately entrepreneurial because studies show immigrants start businesses at twice the rate of native-born Americans, and over half of billion-dollar startups have immigrant founders. And this creates a cycle where property rights attract talent, which creates innovation, which generates wealth, which reinforces property rights. And the third reason is the one that will absolutely shock you, because nobody talks about this, but it's arguably the most important factor, and that's the American system of bankruptcy protection, which sounds like it would be a weakness, but is actually a massive competitive advantage. And here's why this changes everything. Because the United States has the most debtor-friendly bankruptcy laws in the developed world, which means that when businesses or individuals fail financially, they can restructure or discharge debts and start over. And this sounds crazy because you'd think this would make lending risky and expensive, but it actually does the opposite because it encourages risk-taking and entrepreneurship at a scale that's impossible in countries where failure means permanent financial ruin. And think about the incentives this creates, because if you know that starting a business and failing won't destroy your life forever, you're much more likely to try. And this means America generates far more new businesses than other countries, with over 30 million small businesses currently operating. And even though most startups fail, the ones that succeed create enormous value and jobs and innovation. And compare this to countries like Germany or Japan, where bankruptcy carries huge social stigma and often bars you from starting another business, and where failure can mean personal liability that follows you for decades. And in those systems, people are much more conservative about entrepreneurship. And this explains why Europe and Japan have far fewer startups and far less venture capital investment, despite having educated populations and strong technical capabilities. And the numbers are incredible, because the United States attracts over 70% of global venture capital investment, despite having only 4% of world population. And this capital flows to America specifically because the bankruptcy system means that investors can fund 10 companies knowing 9 will fail, but the one success will generate returns that cover all the losses. And this risk tolerance is baked into American culture and law in ways that don't exist elsewhere. And here's the part that really demonstrates the impact, because some of the most successful American entrepreneurs failed spectacularly before succeeding. And Henry Ford's first 2 car companies went bankrupt before Ford Motor Company succeeded. And Milton Hershey started 3 failed candy companies before Hershey's chocolate became a massive success. And in most other countries, these men would never have gotten second chances. But American bankruptcy law gave them the opportunity to try again, and their eventual successes created thousands of jobs and billions in economic value. And this pattern repeats across every industry where American entrepreneurs fail and learn and try again until they succeed. And the cumulative effect is an economy that innovates faster and adapts quicker than systems where failure is permanent. And the fourth hidden reason is something that seems like pure geography until you understand how it was leveraged, and that's the Mississippi River system, which is the largest navigable inland waterway network in the world, with over 15,000 miles of commercially navigable channels. And here's why this matters more than people realize. Because water transportation is dramatically cheaper than rail or road transport, and the Mississippi system connects the agricultural heartland to global markets through the Port of New Orleans. And this created a massive cost advantage for American farmers and manufacturers who could ship bulk goods like grain and coal and steel incredibly cheaply. And the scale of this is hard to comprehend, because the Mississippi River Basin drains 40% of the continental United States and includes some of the most fertile farmland on Earth. And when you can grow crops in Iowa and ship them to global markets for a fraction of what it costs farmers in other countries, you have a permanent competitive advantage in agricultural exports. And the United States became the world's largest agricultural exporter, partly because of this infrastructure advantage. And beyond agriculture, the river system enabled the industrial development of the Midwest, because cities like St. Louis and Memphis and Minneapolis grew into manufacturing centers that could receive raw materials and ship finished goods efficiently. And this contributed to America becoming the world's largest industrial producer by 1900. And here's what makes this even more significant. Because unlike many natural advantages, This one was actively developed through government investment because Congress funded massive river improvement projects and built locks and dams, and the Army Corps of Engineers maintains the navigation channels, and this public infrastructure investment created returns that vastly exceeded the costs because it enabled private sector growth across multiple industries, and the modern equivalent is still visible because the United States moves over 500 million tons of cargo on inland waterways annually, and this reduces transportation costs throughout the economy and makes American businesses more competitive globally. And the fifth hidden reason brings everything together, and it's something that operates in the background of the entire economy, and that's the U.S. dollar's role as the global reserve currency, which gives America a financial advantage that's almost impossible to overstate, because when international trade is conducted in dollars, and foreign governments hold dollars as reserves, and global commodities like oil are priced in dollars, the United States essentially gets an unlimited credit card that no other country possesses. And here's the mechanism that makes this so powerful, because when other countries need dollars to conduct trade, they have to earn those dollars through exports, but America can simply print dollars to pay for imports. And this creates what French Finance Minister Valéry Giscard d'Estaing called an exorbitant privilege in the 1960s. And the scale of this privilege is enormous because the United States has run trade deficits for decades, importing far more than it exports. And in any normal country, this would cause a currency crisis because you'd run out of foreign currency to pay for imports, but the dollar's reserve status means that foreign countries are actually eager to hold dollars and U.S. Treasury bonds, and this allows America to consume more than it produces year after year. And the numbers are staggering because U.S. trade deficits have totaled over $15 trillion since 1976, and instead of weakening the economy, this actually strengthened it, because cheap imports gave American consumers more purchasing power and allowed American companies to focus on high-value activities like design and marketing while outsourcing manufacturing, and the capital that flowed back into America through Treasury purchases funded government spending and business investment at lower interest rates than would otherwise be possible. And here's why this connects to everything else. Because the dollar's dominance didn't happen by accident. It resulted from the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, where America leveraged its post-war economic strength to make the dollar the foundation of the global financial system. And this created a self-reinforcing cycle because dollar dominance made American financial markets the deepest and most liquid in the world, which attracted more foreign investment, which increased demand for dollars, which reinforced dollar dominance. And today, over 60% of global foreign exchange reserves are held in dollars, compared to 20% for euros and single digits for every other currency. And this means that when global crises happen, money flows into dollar assets as a safe haven, which actually strengthens America during times when other countries are weakening. And the economic implications are profound, because this reserve currency status is worth an estimated $60 to $90 billion annually in reduced borrowing costs alone, and beyond the direct financial benefits, there's also the geopolitical leverage, because the United States can impose sanctions that cut countries off from dollar-based financial systems. And these sanctions are devastatingly effective because most international trade requires access to dollar clearing. And when you combine all 5 of these hidden reasons together, you see why American economic dominance isn't fragile or temporary, because the continental market scale gives American companies advantages in economies of scale that foreign competitors can't match, and the property rights system attracts global talent and capital, and the bankruptcy framework encourages risk-taking and innovation at levels impossible elsewhere, and the river transportation network provides permanent cost advantages in agriculture and bulk goods, and the dollar's reserve status allows consumption beyond production and creates financial advantages no other country can access. And these 5 mechanisms reinforce each other, because market scale makes the dollar more valuable, which attracts more foreign investment, which funds more innovation, which creates more successful companies, which strengthens the internal market. And none of these advantages require America to be perfect, or even necessarily better than other countries at specific tasks, because the structural advantages are so overwhelming that they compound over time into dominance that becomes mathematically inevitable. And this explains why, despite decades of predictions that Japan or Europe or China would overtake the American economy, None of them have succeeded because they're not just competing against American companies or workers. They're competing against a system that's been optimized for growth over 2.5 centuries and has structural advantages that can't be easily replicated. And when you understand these 5 hidden reasons, you realize that American economic power isn't about working harder or being smarter. It's about operating within a framework that was deliberately designed to generate and compound advantages, and that framework is still operating exactly as intended, making the United States the greatest economic power the world has ever seen.